Welcome to The Explainer, where today we're diving deep into the magical arsenal of the Sorcerer to help you optimize your next truly devastating character build. Look, if you're a dedicated, min-maxing player looking to absolutely dominate the arcane arts, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down the precise mechanics, the hidden synergies, and yeah, even the currently buggy math behind the most powerful spellcasting class in the game. Okay, let's jump right into the ultimate question. Out of all the raw magical power at your fingertips, which enhancement tree is actually going to keep you alive and maximize your DPS in the game's toughest boss fights? Because, let's be real, dealing massive damage means absolutely nothing if you just instantly drop dead from a raid boss's AoE attack. As you'll see, the different skill trees completely rewrite your baseline survival and damage strategies. So here's our game plan for today. First, an intro to the class and the art of magic. Then we'll look at the elemental orders of air and earth. After that, the illusion magic of the Feydark Illusionist, followed by the deadly Eldritch Knight and the sheer chaos of the Wild Mage. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with how to choose your path based on survivability. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, an introduction to the class baseline and the arcane arts. The absolutely crucial point you need to understand is that sorcerers are walking arcane artillery platforms. Because you're channeling magic through sheer natural talent and charisma rather than strict, book-learned discipline, you actually enjoy spell cooldowns that are 25 to 40% faster than a wizard's. You also boast a massive spell point pool, but of course, that comes at a heavy cost. You have 0 native armor proficiencies, you are physically fragile, which literally makes your enhancement tree choice a matter of life and death. Moving right along to Section 2, let's examine the elemental orders, specifically contrasting air and earth. Now, while a lot of casters rely on the raw burst damage of the Fire Savant or the crowd control freezing of the Water Savant, the air and earth paths offer 2 completely opposite approaches to survival. The Air Savant relies on pure speed and evasion. You basically become a human hurricane. You get bonuses to your dodge cap, you're immune to most knockdown effects, and you're just zipping around the battlefield slinging electric and sonic spells. The Earth Savant, on the other hand, trades all that mobility to turn you into a literal stone tank. You're connecting with the immovable power of the mountain, gaining a stacking +3 or +6 earth and armor bonus to your armor class, alongside a really high physical resistance rating, or PRR. And this number brilliantly illustrates the ultimate defensive power of both of those savant trees. Reaching elemental apotheosis at level 20 grants you a massive 100% fortification bonus. You quite literally become an elemental. Whether you're air, earth, fire, or water, your very anatomy changes, making you incredibly resistant to critical hits, which is an absolute prerequisite for surviving epic bosses. But how does that translate to raw combat efficiency? Well, to maximize your magical DPS, just look at how efficiently the Savant trees reduce metamagic costs and drop your spell-like ability, or SLA, costs down to almost nothing. Whether you're spamming Air's Shocking Grasp or Earth's Acid Spray, maxing out these abilities drops their SP cost to just 4, 3, or even 2 points. When you combine that with efficient metamagics, you can sustain maximum area of effect damage against massive groups of enemies without ever draining your huge SP pool. All right, let's transition into Section 3 and see how we can build some incredible tactical utility with the Feydark Illusionist tree. For ultimate boss fight survivability, the Master Illusionist core ability grants you and your party a staggering 95% concealment for 15 seconds. Just think about that mathematically for a second. When a boss winds up for a massive physical attack, you pop this ability and 95% of those incoming physical hits will completely miss you and your allies. It's an unmatched defensive cooldown drawn straight from the deceptive magic of the Feywild. This tree also turns your familiar into an amazing defensive asset. Through the You've Got My Back ability, your familiar pulls ambient magic into your shield spell, granting you a powerful +10 to both your physical and magical resistance ratings. On top of that, Reality Bulwark gives you +3 to all saving throws and makes you completely immune to fear. You're literally mitigating damage before the dice are even rolled to hit you. Offensively, you're conjuring illusionary weapons. By allowing your magical charisma stat to dictate your melee attack and damage with shadow blades made of pure force, the Feydark Illusionist perfectly bridges the gap between spellcasting and physical combat. You don't need a high strength stat anymore. The sheer force of your personality drives the blade. It's a fantastic origin story of mind over matter. But hey, If you want a true, deadly combination of steel and sorcery, Section 4 is for you. We have to examine the Eldritch Knight. The Eldritch Knight is a battle-forged spellcaster that operates on a precise, devastating rhythm. First, you hit a group of enemies with your Eldritch Strike Cleave. This builds up power charges. Once you hit 5 charges, they're automatically consumed to grant you Eldritch power. For 30 seconds, you unleash a massive surge of power, plus 10% to your weapon damage, 4 extra imbue dice adding elemental damage to every swing, and a plus 25 to your universal spell power. You basically become a self-buffing machine of destruction. And for survivability, this is a masterclass in frontline survival. The Armored Arcana ability completely removes arcane spell failure from medium armor, so you can wear real physical protection while casting. You passively gain a massive 15% boost to your maximum HP. And if a boss does hit you hard, your arcane barrier automatically triggers when you drop below 50% health, granting you an emergency 25% damage reduction for 20 seconds. It is just unbelievable durability. Next up is Section 5. It's time to look at the absolute wild card of the group, the chaos magic of the Wild Mage. So the origin story here is basically a caster who stared into the abyss of universal entropy and decided to just inject it straight into their veins. The Wild Mage playstyle is pure chaos, completely abandoning calculated control for raw, unpredictable power. Whenever you cast chaotic spells like Chaos Bolts or Chaos Sphere, you have a percentage chance to trigger a wild magic surge. These surges can give you massive lucky buffs to your stats, or they can backfire spectacularly with negative effects. You are constantly managing the unpredictable ebb and flow of magic. But right here is an absolutely essential pro-tip warning for you min-maxers out there. Current data shows significant bugs in the Wild Mage's defensive scaling. For example, the damage reduction from Tides of Chaos is supposed to scale with your level, but right now it only grants a flat DR of 1. PRR and MRR buffs are scaling at half your Wild Mage class level, not your total character level. And most dangerously, activating the Power in Chaos button completely breaks your Chaos control protections, meaning you'll suffer the absolute worst negative surges even when you shouldn't. You have to be incredibly careful relying on this tree's random defenses in a tough raid. Honestly, this perfectly encapsulates the tree's combat identity. Tides of Chaos IV intentionally subtracts 2 from all your base spell difficulty classes, but in exchange, it adds a random 1d6 roll to the DC of every spell you cast. You are literally handicapping your guaranteed calculated magic power for the chance to randomly overpower a boss's saving throws with a lucky high roll. All right, let's bring all this data together in Section 6 to summarize survivability and help you choose your customized path. When you're building your character, you need to balance your primary DPS output against this specific survivability mechanic that best fits your personal playstyle. Do you want the raw burst damage of the Fire Savants, the evasion and mobility of the Air Savants when pulling mobs, the freezing control of water? If you want to stand your ground and cake a hit, the PRR of the Earth Savants or the medium armor and HP buffs of the Eldritch Knight are top tier. Or if you want to manipulate probabilities and make bosses miss entirely, go for the 95% concealment of the Fey Dark Illusionist. So, I leave you with this final thoughts. When you step into your next epic raid, staring down the deadliest enemies the game has to offer, which magical arsenal are you going to trust with your life? Are you going to build the immovable battle mage, the elusive illusionist, or are you brave enough to let the chaotic surges of the Wild Mage dictate your fate? Keep min-maxing those stats, keep experimenting, and we'll see you in the next explainer.